All right. Next Patreon request, and this one comes from my good friend Jason Voorhees 2011, who asked me to do. Well, okay, I have to stress that there was a version of this, but I had to change it because I was like, this is too big, and I don't want to make this video too long. So yeah, what we are gonna do, however, is it was originally going to be ranking the Marvel DC crossovers, because next week we are getting our first crossover, Marvel DC crossover, in nearly 20, literally a little over 20 years since we had a Marvel DC crossover with Batman Deadpool. So in honor of that, Jason asked me to do a ranking of the Marvel DC crossovers, but that list would have been too long putting all of that in there. So I decided to do a little alteration and talk about my top 10 favorite Marvel DC crossovers. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the second tier, that'll allow you access to do so, as well as check out all the other exclusive stuff on that tier, as well as give you access to all the stuff on the first tier as well. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, let's get started. Now, as always with top 10 lists, you have to understand that this isn't the definitive list. This is just how this is just how I view my 10 favorite. So if you think a crossover should be higher or lower on the list, or not at all, that's totally fine. This is just my personal ranking. I'm always excited to hear where you guys stand for the list in your own right. So without further ado, let's get started at number 10, Superman Silver Surfer. This could have easily been a galaxy-spanning, world-ending, or multiverse-ending epic. But instead, George Perez and the creative team decide to have fun with it. What they do is just have it be that Superman and Silver Surfer are thrown into shenanigans by Mr. Mxyzptlk and the Impossible Man. There's a lot of fun to this book, but there's also a lot of heart, too. It was very clear that this was meant to be like a fun cosmic romp. And usually Silver Surfer doesn't get a lot of crossovers. So this was one of the few times he got one. I love how there's also a fight between Impossible Man and Mixie, where they both turn into different Marvel and DC characters and fight. It's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of The Sword and the Stone, where basically Madam Min and Merlin are fighting each other and they're turning into different animals to one-up each other. That had to have been the reference with Mixie and Impossible Man's fight. There's no other way to say it other than, yeah, that was probably the idea behind it. I also really like how there's a great payoff with Silver Surfer and also a race of aliens that get thrown into this whole mess. So I really liked it. Next up, Superman versus Hulk. This could have easily been it kind of takes a concept we were kind of hoping for and pretty much turns it on its head. Essentially what happens in this crossover is that Superman, this is an homage to Silver Age comics, where Superman during his Golden Age era battles the Hulk, who, this is early Stan Lee Hulk, so this is a Hulk that was recently created, so he's he's capable of making whole sentences and things like that. It's again treated like this is Hulk and Superman's early years, and the fights are fun. It's not Hulk's just tearing across Metropolis and fighting Superman. That actually did happen in Superman Spider-Man 2, and then Marvel vs. DC. So to have Hulk and Superman fight in this crossover was a lot of fun because, again, I really do like that kind of Silver Age, Golden Age era. So to make an homage to that with Fat Lex Luthor and making Ross and Luthor the villains, it was pretty fun. Next up, Punisher Batman, the second Batman Punisher crossover. The first one, Lake of Fire, doesn't even follow. It doesn't even follow Bruce. It was during the Azrael era. Lake of Fire, which was the first Marvel DC crossover I ever owned. Just to go on a minor tangent, Batman Punisher Lake of Fire was basically the first crossover I ever owned. My dad had a friend who collected comics and he was going to give some away. And I saw this cover of like Punisher and Batman. I didn't know who Azrael was. So it was this cool Batman in armor. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, why is Bruce wearing that armor? And then I'm like, who the hell is Jean-Paul Valley? Is this supposed to be like Batman Beyond? Is this the future? So yeah, it wasn't until later. And I'm like, oh, so this crossover really didn't mean anything. And it's not, the artwork's good and the comic's okay, but it's really dumb. This Punisher Batman one, the second one, is really solid. Chuck Dixon and John Romita Jr. come together, and this was first time John Romita Jr. drew Batman characters. So this was his first John Romita Jr.'s first time drawing Batman before his later years where he drew Batman, and yeah, it was shaky. But this is where he got to draw Batman the first time, along with Joker and other characters, in a story involving Jigsaw and the Joker. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this comic. It's a really solid, kind of revenge story as well. And again, it was like, I feel like Marvel, because DC did Lake of Fire, when they did the second one with Marvel, they're like, we're not doing Jean-Paul Valley. It's either Bruce Wayne Batman or nothing. Anyway, moving right along, we have Batman Hulk. Batman Hulk is one of the most unique Marvel DC crossovers out there, because whoever thought of putting Batman with the Hulk? This was written by Len Wein, and essentially this comic, I think it was the reason why they did it was because Batman's very popular, and also like the Hulk TV show was going on at the time. And this was the second crossover Marvel and DC did after Superman Spider-Man. So Batman and Hulk is also a bizarre adventure involving the Joker and a lesser-known Hulk character, the Shaper of Worlds. If you don't know who the Shaper of Worlds is, okay, so the Shaper of Worlds was a character during Hulk's like weird cosmic funky era, and basically the Shaper of Worlds is this being who's like a scroll-like entity who's part cosmic cube. It's a whole thing. You can basically create what you dream. It's a fun story involving like I will call shenanigans. Like there is like some major shenanigans in this comic where Batman's like fighting the Hulk and he's actually like hitting Hulk in pressure points. I'm like, that's never worked before. Why? Like Hulk, like you would think, like Hulk obviously solos Batman, and again it kind of plays in the whole Bat God thing, which is kind of irritating. So yeah. That really bothered me, but still, it's a great adventure, and it is admittedly more of a Batman story than a Hulk story, but I will say it's a cool cosmic romp, and I really like the idea of pitting of like Batman and Hulk of all characters was the next crossover idea. Next up, now we've come to number 6, and yeah, I have been looking at the list. At number 6, we have Darkseid versus Galactus, written by John Byrne. This is a great comic of like the two greatest cosmic entities of both respective universe duking it out. This is a love letter to Jack Kirby from John Byrne. Galactus comes to it's also a pretty simple story too. Darkseid has arrived on Apokolips to consume it, and Darkseid's like, nah, this is my planet. Fuck you. We get a great fight between Silver Surfer and Orion. We get to see the power of Galactus against the power of Darkseid. This is a great villain. I wouldn't say I've never really considered Galactus a villain, but this is like a cool villain quote unquote full villain moment. Hopefully we get that in the future with other Marvel DC crossovers, like maybe Joker and Green Goblin or Lex and Doctor Doom crossover from Marvel and DC. Who can say? But yeah, Darkseid versus Galactus is great. It's another great one, and hopefully get more villain ones. Now we come to the top 5, starting off with Spider-Man Batman. Mark Bagley gets to draw Batman for the first time, and he owns it. J.M. DeMatteis and Mark Bagley make a great story involving Joker and Carnage that has arguably some of the best art in here, and it's a great story involving Spider-Man and Batman, learning about their differences, and it's the crossover everyone wanted between these two characters. The sequel is meh, with involving Ra's and Kingpin, but I will say it is a great romp, and apparently DeMatteis wanted to use the Green Goblin, but Harry had died at that point, so he was like, cool, then I'll just go with Carnage. And no, we don't get Carnage Joker. If this crossover came out today, we'd probably get that because, oh, the toy line. But no, Marvel and DC crossovers back then were a little more, shall we say, reserved. But yeah. Next up at number 4, Superman Fantastic Four, which is cool because, like, you know, Superman and Fantastic Four teaming up in like I'm talking about this when a few months ago we had Superman and great Superman and Fantastic Four movies in the same month. This is a great story involving a Herald of Galactus Superman, and I don't know what it was, but they used Cyborg Superman a lot in those later Marvel DC crossovers. It's also a fun story involving, you know, a great cosmic odyssey and showcasing, like, Superman thinking he found the killer of his world, Galactus, which that wasn't real, but yeah. It's a fun story, and again, like, Herald Superman. How could I not say no to that? Next up, the very first Marvel DC crossover, Superman and Spider-Man. Is it gimmicky? Is Superman OP because this is pre-Crisis? Yes. But is it fun? Yeah. The fight between Superman and Spider-Man is pretty fun because Superman gets doused in red sun radiation from Doc Ock and Lex. And it is dated. I will say it's a little bit dated, but at the same time, this crossover, for lack of a better word, is what kicked off everything. You know, it's kind of funny because as the story goes, Stan Lee and, like, one of the heads at Warner Brothers were at a party together, and someone said, you guys should work together on a Superman Spider-Man movie. And Stan Lee and they're like, that's stupid. Maybe a comic. And you have to understand, this comic was so, like, prestigious, they basically, like, broke out all the stops for this book. They even made the original comic like newspaper sized and like heralded it as a spirit of collaboration between Marvel and DC, when in reality in the back rooms of it all, it was more along the lines of it was a dick measuring contest all the way to the end. So yeah, that was kind of like, that was the whole thing behind it. But the fact that we got this and it launched an era of Marvel and DC collaborating for decades, and also one of the reasons why we now will have another decade of, like, Marvel and DC collaborating, I think that really is important to, like, mention. So yeah, how could I not talk about that? Yeah, so Superman, also, it's just fun. It's fun, goofy, like, cosmic, like, fun Silver Age camp. And yeah, it has, sorry, freaking chair. It basically has, like, Superman going to Superman and Spider-Man going to, like, Africa and outer space and fighting in New York, all in one book. Yeah. So there you go. And at number 2, X-Men, Teen Titans. Chris Claremont and Walt Simonson collabing. Need I say more? This comic is epic. This was an epic crossover of Marvel and DC's two most popular teams at the time collaborating to create what is essentially one of the best crossovers ever. It's a great one-and-done story involving the Titans and the X-Men post Dark Phoenix saga and it does, like, this also is important because this is the first appearance of the Source Wall that is referenced to DC Comics. I would actually not be shocked if, like, in Grant Morrison's Batman Deadpool crossover coming in November, because again, that's the DC one, we're getting the Marvel one next week. I would not be shocked at all if, like, he talks about the Source Wall, because it's Grant Morrison talks about the Source Wall, and the Marvel and DC universe are divided by it. So this was the first appearance of the Source Wall, and it was used ever since. So this also has, like, continuity credit to it. But the other thing is, too, this is a big crossover because, again, it was also flies in the face of continuity of what really happened with Jean Grey. But yeah, this was post Dark Phoenix, so Chris Claremont was like, I'm going to do, this is how I'm not going to bring her back, so this will do it. Ah, crap, Marvel's making me bring her back. All right. But yeah, it's a solid story involving Dark Phoenix and Darkseid. There's great moments with Deathstroke as well. It's a great book. It's just a great story involving both teams. But I think there is a number. But for my number one, and I think you all know what the number one spot is and always will be until proven otherwise. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Justice League Avengers. Justice League Avengers was the last Marvel DC crossover, and it was peak. Like, it was absolute peak from start to finish. This was a great cosmic odyssey. It was a love letter from Kurt Busiek and George Perez, making a love letter to both universes. It was a great cosmic spanning odyssey that brought these two characters together. And like I said, for the longest time, it was the last one. It was the last Marvel DC crossover until now. So give thanks to it. If it was the last one, they went on a banger. So there you go, guys. That is my top 10 favorite Marvel DC crossovers. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what are your top 10 Marvel DC crossovers? Just comment below, let me know. And yeah, once again, I'd like to thank my good friend Jason Voorhees for this Patreon request. I know it's a little altered from what he wanted, but that video would have been way too long. But yeah, other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.